That's right. Time for the news, y'all. That's right. It's time for the news. How y'all doing today? What's today's date? Today is today the 13th. Oh, it's Wednesday the 13th. All right. Anyway, here we go, folks. It's your KP Video News, and we getting ready to get busy here. And I ran into this story, and this story dictates exactly how the coronavirus got spread. So don't let them fool you. And the story states that the rich infected the poor as COVID-19 spreads around the world. In Singapore, when it arrived in the unforgiving industrial towns of central Mexico, the sand-swept sprawl of northern Nigeria, and the maze of metal shanties in India's commercial capital, Mumbai, COVID-19 went by another name. People called it a rich man's disease. Pandemics throughout history have been associated with the underprivileged, but in many developing countries, the coronavirus was a high-class import carried in by travelers returning from business trips to China, studies in Europe, ski vacations in the Rockies. As infections initially concentrated in better neighborhoods, many poor and working class people believed the disease wouldn't touch them, as if something terrible but rarefied. The misperception was fed by elites, including the governor of Mexico's Pueblo state, Luis Miguel Barbosa, who said in March, "If you're rich, you're at risk, but if you're poor, you're not." The poor were immune. By now, it's clear that COVID-19 spares no one and disproportionately harms the hungry, the forgotten, those with pre-existing illness and substandard health care. But historians say it may be remembered as the first pandemic that spread to a significant extent from the affluent to the lowly, agitating class grievances in some of the world's most unequal societies, and adding a dark twist to a pandemic that has killed more than 270,000 people. At the very, very early stages, it could be considered a rich man's disease, said Joshua Loomis, an associate professor of biology at East Stroudsburg University in Pennsylvania and author of A History of Epidemics. But as we know, it didn't take long to become entrenched among the poor, and that's where the pandemics gravitate. The rich have long erected barriers to insulate themselves, whether walls to hide slums or in India or gated communities and private jets. Favored among the wealthy in the United States, the well-off have been refining social distancing for years. And when contagion appears, society's first instinct has often been to target and sequester the poor. During the cholera epidemic of the early 1900s, harsh quarantines of lower-class neighborhoods sparked riots in the Russian city of St. Petersburg that was suppressed only when Tsar Nicholas I sent in the army. In the 1930s, the Nazis used typhus prevention as a pretext to confine Jews to ghettos that accelerated the disease spread, ensuring it killed as many as possible. But when a pandemic begins with the rich, the poor have nowhere to hide. Throughout history, the rich will wall in the poor to let the disease wipe them out, Loomis said. There are not many examples of the poor having the power or means to do that. The 1918 influenza outbreak was also propelled by transcontinental travel, but it is widely believed that American soldiers, not leisure travelers, brought the disease to Europe when they fought the closing battles of World War I. Tuberculosis for a long time in the 19th century was associated with the elite because it killed a series of romantic writers and artists, but it has always spread most ferociously among slum dwellers and factory workers. Since the first infections were reported in Wuhan, China late last year, COVID-19 has been different. The disease hopscotched around the world aboard commercial jets, quickly appearing in Japan, South Korea, Thailand, and the United States. The first case in India was detected in late January in a middle-class medical student who had flown home from studying in Wuhan. Only Indians with travel histories were tested in the early weeks. Most of the daily life ground out on as normal. The maids and the drivers, who are the backbone of Indian cities, left their crowded neighborhoods every morning to come to work in middle and upper class households returning home after dark on train cars jammed with commuters. In mid-March, the first case was found in a poor person, a 68-year-old housekeeper in Mumbai. Doctor said she was likely infected by her employer, who was tested positive after returning from the United States. So, in a nutshell, basically, this disease was spread worldwide by people traveling on jets, going cross country, doing business in China, bringing it back from China to Japan, to the United States, to Australia, to all these other countries, to India, and basically throughout the world. So therefore, this is the rich man's disease. And here we go. Story number 2. They have a lawyer deputy led an armed group to a black teen's house. Wilmington, North Carolina. Sheriff deputy in North Carolina is facing criminal charges after authorities said he led a group of armed people to the wrong home in search for a missing girl. New Hanover County District Attorney Ben Davis said Friday that Jordan Keita, who worked in the New Hanover Sheriff's Office, will be charged with trespassing and breaking and entering. Keita led an armed group May 3rd to the house of Damian Shepard, a senior at Laney High School in Wilmington, according to James Lee, a lawyer for Shepard's family who is preparing a civil lawsuit. The all-white group tried unsuccessfully to force its way into the home of Shepard, who is black, news outlets reported. Keita was looking for Lakeda Kempinski, a 15-year-old girl who was reported missing earlier that day. She was later found safe. In an effort to find Lakeda, Keita's group was searching for someone named Joshua who used to live next door. Shepard told news outlets that he repeatedly tried to point out to the group that they had the wrong house and that the yard sign out front explicitly congratulated Damien on his high school graduation to no avail. Shepard's mother, Monica Shepard, also told the group they should leave, according to Lay. Coming to the door like that with a mob of people with guns, what do we expect? What were their intentions? Monica Shepard told the media. What if he was the person that they were looking for? Or what if I was not at home? What would have happened? I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want him to be a statistic. It's scary. Davis said there was believed to be some sort of familiar relationship between Keita and the girl. Authorities said Keita has been fined. It's unclear whether he had an attorney who could comment. The second man in Keita's group is also facing criminal charges for going armed to terror of the public. So this is an ongoing story. So, so this is crazy, man. You got people going out there with armed groups, and this armed group was led by a sheriff's deputy. Went to a white sheriff deputy that went to a black man's house looking for a black teenager's house with guns. And here we go. Obama. The real President Obama calls Trump's coronavirus response a chaotic disaster. Former President Obama leveled stinging criticism against President Donald Idiot Trump in a private call to a former member of his administration Friday, saying Trump's response to the coronavirus pandemic is an absolute chaotic disaster, and that the Justice Department's choice to drop charges against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn undermines the rule of law. The remarks, first reported, are a rarity for Obama, who, in public at least, has been reserved in his assessments of his successor since leaving office. The call with the Obama Alumni Association was intended to urge former staffers to get involved with former vice president's presidential campaign, and it reportedly featured Obama speaking about the importance of electing Biden as political divisions have deepened both nationally and internationally, while making the case for Biden as someone who could bridge those divides. It's part of the reason why the response to the global crisis has been so anemic and spotty, Obama reported. It would have been bad even with the best of governments. It has been an absolute chaotic disaster when the mindset of what's in it for me and the heck with everybody else, when the mindset is operationalized in our government. The former president also expressed concerns over the Justice Department's decision to drop charges against former White House National Secretary Advisor Michael Flynn, who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. This kind of stuff where you begin to get worried that basic, not just institutional norms, but our basic understanding of the rule of law is at risk, he said. When you start moving in those directions, it can accelerate pretty quickly, as we've seen in other places. Obama has said previously that he planned to take a more public role in the 2020 race once Democrats settled on a nominee. His comments about Trump were made in private, but do appear to represent him beginning to make good on that promise by mobilizing talent from his administration. Obama's own endorsement of Biden came last month after the final leg of a heated primary contest came to a close. Thus far, he has not been able to appear at any in-person events with Biden, as the coronavirus pandemic has kept most of the public indoors. And Obama has told friends he's worried Trump will be able to leverage his public platform for campaigning while Biden is taken off the trail due to the virus. And as usual, like the idiot 45 has in fact used the coronavirus press conferences to both attack Biden and blame the Obama administration for current testing failures, despite the coronavirus not existing during Obama's tenure. In late April, Trump pillared Biden over the Obama administration's response to the swine flu, saying Biden didn't even know the name, and claiming that due to his predecessor, the U.S. had broken tests. We had tests that were obsolete, and the tests didn't take care of the people, and which was basically an erroneous statement because the coronavirus did not exist when Obama was in office. Obama has not responded publicly to these claims, but his comments Friday suggest that he is willing to highlight the flaws of his successor, particularly in support of his party's presidential nominee. So, and I'm 100% behind President Obama when it comes to that, because basically ever since this idiot took office, it's been nothing but total disaster, complete and total disaster. He has done absolutely nothing for the people of this country, and it's time for him to go. You gotta go, baby. It's time for you to go, Daddy-O. That's right. It's time for you to go, Trump. That's KP's Video News, and this is the news. Peace.